thing for sure, Jamaica is in Africa. I don't care what the geographers say. Because do you know how much that scarred me when I was 10? Do you understand? I'm sorry.
Greetings everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel once again, and I will kindly request that you hit the like, subscribe and the share button if it's the first time that you're coming across my content. And to my returning subscribers, I'll also like to still thank you and encourage you to interact with this video through liking, commenting and sharing. Well, in today's episode we are seeing another interesting scenario whereby some Africans are thinking that Jamaica is located in Africa. Well, this is quite interesting and I will encourage you to watch the rest of this video as I come with my commentaries at the end of it.
Jamaica not being in Africa doesn't make sense to me. It's like 77 plus 33.
This is spiritual. The love Africans have for Jamaicans, it's really, really spiritual, people. I know a lot of you are going to think that's crazy, but that is true. It's like you cannot convince an African at some point in their lives that Jamaica is not an African country. They will literally pull out pictures of Jamaicans and they'll say, yeah, and they are African. Then you'll say to them, okay, point where they are in Africa, and then they'll be all blank and they'll be traumatized when they discover that Jamaica is actually an island in the Caribbean. I was traumatized when I discovered that, so I'm talking from experience. So then my ancestors say to me, it's spiritual. The connection between Jamaicans and Africans is spiritual. That connection that broke between African Americans and Africans because of slavery did not break with Jamaicans. It remained like the cord, the umbilical cord between the Africans and the African Americans. It broke during slavery, but it did not break with the Jamaicans. It remained strong. They remained tagged into the source. So what was the reason? What is the reason that they were tagged into the source and remained tagged into the source? The women, they had very strong metaphysical scientists who were women, and they were like leading them. It's almost like one of their leaders, one of their very first leaders who did what she did. I think I remember her name. Wherever she was very, very metaphysically strong. She did rituals along with others which kept the cord, the umbilical cord, intact, because she thought one day they were going to be able to get on boats and go home, and she didn't want to lose that connection. Literally, yeah, I'm listening to them talking. Literally, that's why for Africans, Jamaica is in Africa, no matter what. It's a spiritual connection that has remained over hundreds of years and will remain for eternity. Isn't that fascinating? I think that's amazing. I think that's cool. And yes, I still think it's a travesty that Jamaica is not in Africa.
So, I think it's safe to say that there are a few Africans growing up who genuinely thought that Jamaica was in Africa. And I am guilty. I am one of those people who genuinely thought Jamaica was an African country. And I remember growing up, my dad used to play Bob Marley so much. And on top of that, the vinyl, we used to call it LPs, the cover was clearly a black African man. So it didn't make sense that if anyone had to tell me, no, this man is not in Africa or from Africa, you know, he's obviously African, but that Jamaica's not in Africa, made no sense. But I know better now, guys. I'm grown up, but I do know something. So there's this other African country, and they do not consider themselves black. I don't even know if they think they're African. It's a blue flag. I know it's not Botswana, but maybe if we can like swap them with the Caribbean. Just a thought. Use it, don't use it.
South Africans are okay with things not making sense. For example, Jamaica's not in Africa, Haiti's not in Africa, Brazil's not in Africa, but I've come across some South Africans that in theory know this, but in reality, like, they don't compute it or process it, right? For example, I'll tell people about my Jamaican friends. I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, Jamaicans have housed me and made me feel more welcome and helped my transition a lot more than, you know, some African people. And they'll be like, why are you separating Jamaicans from Africans? Is Jamaica not in Africa? I'm like, bro, we were in the same geography class. You know that Jamaica is not in Africa. And then people would have to dig in their knowledge and be like, oh my gosh, in theory, yes, I do know that it's not in Africa, but the way that Jamaican culture, Haitian culture, even some people think that Brazil, not as often Brazil comes up, but some people do think that Brazil is in Africa. Like, they would know it in theory that it's not in Africa, but then practically and realistically, like, their brains just see these cultures, the spirituality within these cultures, their expression, the color, the ceremoniousness, the way that Africans feel loved when they're in these countries, and they'll be like, yeah, this must be an African person, even though the theory we learned in class is cognitively dissonant to that, or it is incongruent to the information that their brain feeds them. And I find that so fascinating. And I think then when you approach the African continent or South Africa, knowing that things make sense not making sense, knowing that people can maneuver the countries in the world in their heads to make sense of identity in the world, I think it lets you approach South African ignorance differently and South African history and political context differently, because there is a context as to why people think that Jamaica is in Africa. And it's not everyone, it's some people, it's probably a minority before people come at me. But yeah, I hope I'm making sense.
Guys, do you know that there are people who think that Jamaica is in Africa? Like, serious. And, you know, sometimes some people say some things and you say, oh my God, why would you think that? That's so stupid. Like, it makes sense that you would think Jamaica is in Africa. Like, we were talking about flights, and she was like, what's the flight time to go home? So I said, like, 4 hours, 4 and 20 minutes, you know. She said, 4 hours and 20 minutes to Africa. I said, Jamaica is not in Africa. Jamaica's in the Caribbean. I mean, yes, like, that is widely known that Jamaica's in the Caribbean, but it makes sense. Say, Jamaica should be a place in Africa. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it does.
I'm Xavier.
Duchess. Nice to meet y'all. Y'all look good. All right. 3 countries in Africa.
Nigeria, Liberia, Ghana.
Okay.
Period.
Come on, you got this.
Where you from, though?
Nigeria.
Okay, bad.
I'm from South Carolina. You know, I failed geography.
You can't tell. Give me 2.
Nigeria.
No, apart from what she said.
This is so sad. Jamaica. Is Jamaica in Africa? This is so. I'm gonna get embarrassed. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much. I really don't know. I'm so sorry.
Just one.
I'm under like a lot of pressure.
Just one.
All right, you're good. We have Congo, we have Gambia, we have Zimbabwe.
I was gonna say Zimbabwe, but I got nervous. I was gonna say Zimbabwe, but I got nervous.
All right, thank you.
You're so sorry.
Growing up, I used to think that Jamaica was part of Africa. I'm a Nigerian myself, and I don't know why. I always just thought that Jamaica was somewhere in Africa. I don't know why.
Jamaica's not in Africa, is it?
Sorry?
Jamaica's not. No, it's not. Tell me.
What?
Start again.
No, we're not going to start again. We're going to keep this in.
No, I need to clarify.
What?
It's around the area, though.
What?
You're
I'm listening.
trying to get me in trouble.
No, I'm not going.
Jamaica is basically one of the Canary Islands. No, not Canaries, is it? The Grand Canaries.
What?
No, Jamaica.
You don't know where Jamaica is?
Cranberry Islands. What?
Cranberry. The Caribbean. Cranberry. Cranberry Islands, guys.
Oh, the Caribbean.
Yes.
Caribbean. And then Africa is further.
Is in Africa.
Which is continent. Obviously different area, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what continent is Jamaica in then?
I don't know what it'd fall under.
It would have originally been attached to a continent. If you want to be smart.
Cranberry Island. It's North America.
See? Who would have known that Jamaica's actually American? You're
Right.
American.
All right, cool. Come
You're
on here.
American.
All right,
No,
this is the first
don't
one.
gloss over that one. Go back and address that.
All right.
You're American.
All right, it's a North American. Yeah. okay.
African American.
Bro, this is so fucking true. Ain't nobody love reggae music like South African uncles and aunties and the grandparents. They love that shit, bruv. I remember my second trip there. I went to Johannesburg and we rented this whole house. And it was about around 2 and something like that in the afternoon. And I went out on the balcony and the neighbors next to me, bruv. All I heard was, easy skanking it easy. Oh, pirates, yes, they rob by Buffalo Soldier. And I was like, wait, hold on, wait, what? And the mix, I was listening to the mix. It went on and on and on and on. So I was like, Jamaicans. We have some Jamaicans next to us. So we was going to go out, innit? So I was like, oh, yeah, like, you mans. I was telling everybody. I was like, when we're going past, let's tell, like, you know, the neighbors hi in Jamaica. Bruv. We got out of this house, went up to their house, got to the gate. We saw it. It was two, like, older couple. Like, they looked like they were in, like, their 40s, 50s, 60s. So went up to them. I agreed to them in patois, bruv. I was like, wow, go on, uncle. Like, I was chatting patois. Please tell me why. This man replied back to me in a South African accent. I said, hello, hi, excuse me. He's like, yes, I'm South African. It was two full South African uncle and aunties, bruv. And they were in the front garden dancing the fuck like ain't nobody's business. And then, you know, the funny thing is, like, you will go into, like, certain areas and you'll just hear them be beating reggae, bruv. It's not a joke. I think Bob Marley performed in South Africa one time, bruv. I can't remember. But, bruv, they love that shit. I don't think Jamaican people appreciate reggae music the way they do. They love that shit.
If you've watched the rest of this video to this part, I would like to thank you for the support, and let's get down to it. Well, for most Africans, you will call it as part of being ignorant or something very innocent, as an assumption that most Africans or some of the Africans believe that Jamaica is an African country. And well, this assumption can be forgiven given the fact that Africa and Jamaica share some close ancestral ties that goes way back into history, that is during the transatlantic slave period, whereby you get to see that some Africans were taken as slaves to work in these sugarcane plantation that is in some Caribbean countries, and we get to see that also these same Africans were taken to the United States, and these individuals currently identify as the Black Americans. And for the Jamaican population also, we get to see that almost over 90% of the Jamaican population share an African ancestry. So there's this close tie and similarity that you will forgive someone who will believe that Africa is hosting Jamaica as part of its country. Well, again, due to the geographical differences, which is actually what puts us apart, that is Africans and Jamaicans, we get to see that there are several similarities that are there between Africa and Jamaica. And these can go way beyond the physical appearances and similarities to spiritual ties. As you all know that Jamaica is one of the countries that still celebrates its ancestral origins, and we get to understand that there is a faction of Jamaicans who actually are trying to come back to Africa to settle in. For example, lately we get to see that an African country like Ghana, who most believe that most of the ancestors who were taken to Jamaica during the slave trade period were from Ghana. And we're seeing that Ghana as an African country has actually opened its border to accommodate the Jamaicans who are willing to come back to connect to their ancestral roots. And again, you get to understand that to further promote this, we are seeing the Ghanaian government revoking any visa requirements between the two countries, and we are seeing that Jamaicans can fly anytime in and out of Ghana without having any visa needs. And this again is being observed in other African countries who are again opening their borders to Jamaicans and other Africans in the diaspora, trying to welcome back them home as a way of reconnecting them with their ancestral roots and building the bridges that were burnt, that is during the slave trade period. As for some of the Africans who actually believe that Jamaica is in Africa, we can get to understand the fact that most of the Jamaican music is highly celebrated in Africa. And you get to understand that most of the Jamaican culture and traditions share this close resemblance with that of Africans, to a point that you'll be right to assume that Jamaica is part of Africa. A good example of one of the arts that is being celebrated not only in Jamaica but greatly in Africa, we get to see the reggae music. Reggae music is a music genre that was first developed in Jamaica, and you get to see some reggae legends such as Bob Marley, who are widely known not only in Africa but across the world due to the big impact that they made with their music. And in Africa, mostly, we see that having that African identity in the reggae music has been a huge factor when it comes to Africans identifying with the music. Up to date right now, I'm telling you that for most Africans, it's easy for them to name multiple Jamaican reggae artists, and even with the advent of new music styles like the dancehall, raga, and rhythm, you can be sure about it that in Africa, it's just as popular as it is in Jamaica. And for example, for the dancehall artists, you're getting to see that Vibes Cartel is also a well-known music figure who is mostly celebrated here in Africa by the younger generation. And this is due to the huge impact that he had on the African youth, especially after he came into the limelight. So you're getting to understand this close relation that Africa has with Jamaica, and it is this connection that has made some people to have this assumption that Jamaica is actually part of Africa. Yes, spiritually and ancestrally, these two countries are connected. Well, Africa is not a single country. Africa is divided into, I think, 56 countries, and Jamaica is just a single island country. So when I say that Africa as a country, I'm looking at it as all Africans who celebrate the African identity, and that is what you get to see in the Jamaican music again. And not only in that, even when you come to see about the Jamaican sports which are popular in the world, you get to see that the short distance races, an athlete icon like Usain Bolt is a Jamaican who is not only celebrated as a national hero in his country, but is also viewed as a very influential person here in Africa. And again, you get to see that Jamaica's dominance in the short sprint races can mostly be associated with the African origin or genetics. And there's actually a logic behind it. And the fact is, using the Darwinian theory of survival of the fittest, we get to see that the slaves who managed to make it into the sugarcane plantation fields in Jamaica were only the fittest ones, as the weakest ones most probably died along the way due to the tough condition that wouldn't allow them to survive. So we get to see that these ancestors who made it into Jamaica had these fit genes that were successfully passed to their offspring. That's why you get to see that compared to other races that are there in Jamaica, it is only the black athletes in Jamaica who I can confidently say they have African origin that are very successful when it comes to these short sprint races. And again, having this in mind, someone will ask that why is it that Africans are not that dominant when it comes to the short sprint races? Again, this has a logical explanation to it. As you get to see again in the United States, it's mostly the black athletes in the short sprint races that are very successful. And Africa, we are still trying to catch up, but that doesn't mean that we are also not good at other sports. For example, look at the long distance races. Most athletes from East Africa, especially Kenya, are very good at it due to the environmental adaptations that are favored under such condition. And also we have other great athletes who are also trying in the sprinting races from other West African countries. It's only that there is an issue in Africa whereby one athlete to break out into the international stage, one has to be exceptionally excellent, and there are no infrastructure to support this kind of talent compared to Jamaica, which is roughly composed of almost 2.1 million people. So you get to see that difference in population, and again, the competition for the resources and opportunities to make it to the international stage are higher in Jamaica compared to that in Africa, whereby we are still considered as developing countries. So right now in Africa, what most Africans are still focusing on is about survival, and you get to understand that once Africa becomes a developed country or gets to a point that at least it can be able to tap that natural resources, that is both human and other resources, we are most probably getting to see Africans getting that performance that is in the short sprint races at elite levels. Well, this marks the end of this episode. Thank you once again for watching it. and see you in the next one.